Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of source material. We are looking at a sweeping, deeply impassioned address that was delivered on April 8th, 1990 in Fukushima, Japan. To really set the scene for you, it was a rare, rainy, and incredibly windy day for this speaker's events. But instead of seeing that bad weather as a setback, the speaker actually leans right into it. They immediately frame the storm as a literal test of passion for everyone sitting in the audience. And honestly, that perfectly sets the stage for a message all about absolutely unwavering commitment. Okay, let's dive into this. At the very heart of this address is a fundamental question. It asks, what actually drives a person to keep sharing their beliefs, even when they're faced with harsh rejection? The speech we're looking at today attempts to answer exactly that, mapping out this incredibly detailed psychological and spiritual blueprint for overcoming our natural human hesitation. So, here is the roadmap laid out in the address. We'll be going through 1. The core foundation of faith, 2. Membership as warriors of light, 3. The action of study and mission, 4. The obstacle of disappointment, and finally, 5. The solution, which is passion. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The core foundation, faith. The speaker kicks things off by positioning faith as the absolute starting point for all of humanity. And to do this, they set up a very stark, almost visual duality right from the jump. On one side, you have the materialistic view. The address argues that if you look at humans as just accidental collections of matter, like biological machines operating without a soul, then genuine, deep love and profound emotional joy logically just cannot exist. But on the other side, you have the faith-based view. By believing that humans are actually created by a divine entity, the speaker claims you instantly unlock this lens of infinite potential, where absolutely every individual is worthy of profound respect. The core premise here is beautifully summarized in the text. Realizing humans are created by a divine being fundamentally changes how we view and love others. We strive for self-improvement because a higher power is watching. And according to the text, believing in a deity that's watching over you isn't about fear at all. It's actually framed as the ultimate drive for self-improvement. The idea is that if a higher power is constantly observing, it creates this incredibly powerful internal feedback loop that just compels you to reform your character and treat the people around you with real dignity. Section 2. Membership, Warriors of Light. Now, what's really interesting here is the unique spiritual cosmology that gets introduced. The text outlines this concept of Sampo-ki, which means taking refuge in the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, or the teachings, and the Sangha, which is the community. But it actually goes a step further than that. It categorizes regular members into a lineage called the Golden Ray. So in the speaker's framework of a heavenly 7-color spectrum, where, for example, a white ray represents Christian love and a blue ray represents philosophy, this golden ray is framed as the central Buddhist-colored light of the spiritual realm. And look, becoming a regular member in this specific system is absolutely not described as some casual hobby. The text makes it incredibly clear this is an intense, demanding path of self-transformation. It states that once you officially join, there is literally nowhere to hide. Even your guardian spirits, according to the text, start receiving strict warnings from higher heavenly guides just to keep you on track. It's really framed as an enlistment. You become a warrior of light, bearing this massive mission to help save the world. Section 3. Action, Study, and Missionary Work. The speaker takes a completely no-nonsense, tough love stance on hesitation here. Apparently, a lot of followers at the time were claiming they couldn't spread the teachings because they felt they just hadn't studied quite enough yet. Well, the address brutally dissects that excuse, calling it out as nothing more than a cloak for cowardice. Waiting around to feel perfectly ready isn't seen as humility, it's framed as a self-centered delay tactic used to protect your own ego. So, to combat that, the text drops a very crucial, punchy metric: 1 book a week. That is the required minimum intake of spiritual study. The speaker directly compares it to putting gasoline in a car. You simply cannot expect the vehicle to run if you aren't consistently fueling your mind with the teachings. It's just not going to happen. But of course, input alone isn't enough. That's immediately followed up with the output metric. You must sow the seeds of truth to at least one person a week. This rapid 1-2 punch of study 1, reach 1 completely grounds all that lofty spiritual talk into a highly actionable, demanding reality. It essentially stops followers from just sitting comfortably at home, feeling enlightened, without ever doing the hard, actual work of outreach. The text actually breaks down the exact mechanism of how this works. Step 1 is the input, the studying we just talked about. But step 2 is really the secret sauce, empathy. The speaker claims that if you genuinely care about the other person and you completely drop your own ego and pride, this amazing spiritual synergy happens. By step 3, your guardian spirits will actually step in to guide your words. It allows you to perfectly tailor your message, almost miraculously, to exactly what that specific listener needs to hear in that exact moment. Section 4. The obstacle, disappointment. Now, to illustrate just how dangerous rejection can be during this missionary work, the speaker recounts this super dramatic parable. It's about the devil deciding to retire and sell off all his tools. The devil has all these different tools for ruining human lives, stuff like jealousy, doubt, fear. But there's one tool that's priced way, way higher than the rest. And it's just a worn-out wedge. When someone asks why this piece of junk is so expensive, the devil explains, this wedge is called disappointment. Once it is hammered into a person's heart, anything else can enter. It's a profound psychological warning. Because think about it. Getting a door slammed in your face or a book thrown back at you naturally leads to disappointment. But the text warns that the disappointment itself isn't the final danger. It's just the wedge. It creates the opening. Once that crack is formed in your spirit, a whole floodgate of truly destructive emotions, like paralyzing doubt, jealousy, and fear, rush right in to completely break your resolve.
Section 5. The solution. Passion.
So what is the ultimate defense against the devil's wedge? The solution, according to the text, is passion. But the text defines passion in a very specific, unique way. It's not some erratic, ego-driven emotion, no. It is defined as an infinite internal fire that is fueled strictly by pure faith. It is this overwhelming, totally selfless desire to act as the literal hands and feet of the divine. When disappointment tries to hammer its way into your heart, the speaker asserts that this blazing internal passion is the absolutely only force strong enough to repel the wedge and push all that negativity back out. And this brilliantly illustrates the speaker's final push to the audience. The text contrasts the immense, very real physical hardships of the past with the convenience of the present. It points out that ancient monks literally risked their lives crossing treacherous oceans and climbing freezing mountains, sometimes just to transport a single scroll of truth. Compare that to the modern era of 1990. Members have printed books, cassette tapes, bullet trains, and instant communication. The physical barriers to spreading the word are basically completely gone. Because of these incredible modern advantages, the speaker's ultimate call to action is fiercely uncompromising. There are just no excuses left. Listeners are demanded to entirely drop their self-limitations, stop worrying about looking foolish, and cast aside their self-centered pride. With the environment so perfectly primed for communication, failing to act is basically framed as a betrayal of the immense privileges they hold over the truth seekers of the past. Which leaves us with this really provocative final thought, pulled straight from the core of this 1990 address. If past generations faced physical ruin just to spread their beliefs, what is really holding you back today? How will you utilize your own internal fire and the massive environmental advantages of the modern world to push past disappointment and actually fulfill your mission? It's a challenging question about drive, our environment, and the true nature of passion that definitely leaves us with a whole lot to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.